The episode Amenda, from the long-running Romanian series Fierbinți, captures one of the show's most intriguing balances between rural absurdity and genuine social commentary. It represents not just another comic misadventure among villagers, but a layered reflection on power, authority, morality, and human instinct. The charm of Fierbinți lies in its ability to take something ordinary, a fine, a misunderstanding, a local argument, and expand it into a miniature allegory of life in small communities where bureaucracy and humanity are constantly wrestling for space. Amenda does exactly that, beginning with a simple event that spirals into a moral fable about pride, misunderstanding, and community bonds. The story begins, as many Fierbinți episodes do, in the heart of the village, the bar. Bobița's bar is not only a place for drinks and gossip, but the spiritual parliament of Fierbinți, where all issues, from philosophical to ridiculous, are debated with equal seriousness. On this particular morning, Celentano and Firisel are engaged in one of their usual quarrels about who owes money to whom for yesterday's drinks. The air is thick with smoke, laughter, and frustration. And suddenly, a new topic arises. Gianni has been fined by the local police for driving his scooter without documents. The amount, ridiculous in his eyes, becomes the spark that ignites the whole episode's theme. The word amenda, fine, starts floating through the air like a curse, something both feared and mocked. And quickly, the entire village becomes involved in debating the meaning of justice itself. The brilliance of the episode lies in how the script stretches this one event into a full social dissection. The villagers' understanding of the law is filtered through emotion, pride, and survival instinct rather than logic. Gianni sees the fine as a personal attack on his dignity, not as a legal consequence. Bobița tries to calm him down, but secretly sees an opportunity to make some money by offering to help him fix the situation. Ardiles smells potential profit, while Celentano, in his drunken wisdom, declares that laws are just inventions of those who have too much time. The viewer cannot help but laugh, but underneath the laughter lies the uncomfortable recognition of a very real social truth. People in small, underprivileged places often feel alienated from the mechanisms of authority that claim to protect them. The police officer, ironically, appears only briefly in the episode, but his presence is felt like a shadow. His role is symbolic. He represents a cold, external power that enters the warm, chaotic rhythm of village life. When he issues the fine to Gianni, it feels less like justice and more like intrusion. This subtle framing allows the show to criticize not the idea of law itself, but the way it is perceived in marginalized communities. The camera work adds to this perspective. The scenes are shot in wide frames that capture the entire group dynamics, giving space for the actors' improvisational energy. The humor emerges not just from the lines, but from body language, hesitation, tone, and facial expressions that feel authentically rural. The rhythm of the episode is slow and deliberate, mimicking the pace of village life. Yet every silence hides tension, and every laugh carries a hint of sadness. As the episode unfolds, Gianni's obsession with his fine grows. He tries to reason with the mayor, who listens half-heartedly while eating sunflower seeds and making phone calls. The mayor, always the image of gentle corruption, tells him that the law must be respected, but then suggests he could talk to someone in the prefecture if Gianni can help with a little something. This duality, moral preaching mixed with casual bribery, is not portrayed as evil, but as the natural absurdity of survival in a system that everyone knows is broken. The humor becomes tragicomic. The conversations are repetitive and circular, echoing the feeling that no real solution will ever be found. The viewer begins to feel the claustrophobia of village logic, where rules exist mostly to be interpreted, and truth bends depending on who is talking. One of the most memorable moments in the episode happens late in the evening when Celentano, half drunk and poetic, delivers a rambling monologue about freedom. He argues that fines are proof that man is no longer free, that every law is a chain, and that true liberty lies in not caring about anything. It's nonsense, but at the same time, there's something beautiful in his philosophy. He becomes a philosopher without realizing it, transforming stupidity into raw existential wisdom. The other characters laugh, but the audience senses that Celentano's words reveal a deep wound, the resignation of people who have lost faith in institutions. This scene, though comical, opens a deeper reflection on how Las Fierbinzi manages to combine humor with melancholy. The show never mocks its characters cruelly. Even when they are ridiculous, they are treated with affection. Gianni's exaggerated frustration over the fine mirrors everyone's experience of injustice, however trivial. The mayor's hypocrisy is understandable, almost sympathetic. Firicel's opportunism feels like a survival instinct, not malice. The comedy, therefore, becomes a defense mechanism against despair. The episode's sound design complements this emotional layering. Distant dog barks, wind in the fields, and the creaking of old wooden chairs create a sense of timelessness, as if Fierbints exists outside the modern world, yet is haunted by its bureaucratic ghosts. From a thematic standpoint, Amenda functions as a study of pride. Gianni's refusal to pay the fine becomes symbolic of a larger rural resistance to authority. His pride is not about money, but about dignity. He cannot accept being humiliated by a piece of paper signed by someone he doesn't respect. This small act of rebellion becomes heroic in his mind, ridiculous to others, and fascinating to the viewer. The irony is that his rebellion leads nowhere. In the end, he pays the fine anyway, but in a way that preserves his pride. He convinces himself he's not paying it for them, but for the peace of the village. This self-delusion is both funny and touching, representing how people reconcile their defeats by rewriting their own narratives. The final scene, as with many Las Fierbinzi episodes, takes place again at the bar. Everyone has forgotten the fine by then, moving on to the next gossip or absurdity. Life goes on. The circularity of this structure reflects the endless rhythm of rural existence. Problems rise and fall like waves, but nothing truly changes. This lack of resolution is what gives the episode its strange poetic quality. The world of Fierbinzi is static but alive, absurd but comforting. The show's creators understand that the real drama lies not in major events, but in the repetition of small ones, where laughter becomes a way of surviving monotony and disappointment. What makes Amenda particularly powerful is that it also serves as a microcosm of Romanian society. The episode mirrors a collective frustration with institutions that promise fairness but deliver confusion. The villagers' reactions to authority, ranging from fear to mockery, are exaggerated reflections of a national sentiment. The script's subtle brilliance lies in making these critiques through humor, allowing the audience to laugh while recognizing themselves in the mirror. On a more personal note, watching Amenda reminds me of the universal tension between individuality and conformity. The fine, trivial as it is, becomes a metaphor for how people everywhere struggle with being told what to do. In cities, it's traffic tickets and taxes. In Fierbinți, it's a scooter fine. The setting may be different, but the emotions are the same. The human impulse to rebel against impersonal authority is timeless. And yet, there is tenderness in how the show portrays this rebellion, not as violence or hatred, but as laughter. Laughter becomes a political act, a way of reclaiming dignity in a system that often ignores it. By the end of the episode, what lingers is not the plot, but the atmosphere. The lazy afternoon light, the clinking of glasses, the half-serious debates about justice, all combine to form a portrait of a world that feels deeply human. The people of Fierbinți are not heroes or villains. They are dreamers, hustlers, philosophers, and fools, all trapped in the same cycle of hope and disappointment. The fine, the Amenda, becomes just another story in an endless chain of stories that define village life. It's this capacity to turn small events into universal reflections that makes Las Fierbinți more than a comedy. It is, in its own way, a living chronicle of a society learning to laugh at itself to survive.